It's 6:30. It's Tuesday evening. I'm in Brooklyn, where I live, and I'm sitting on my couch, and the window's cracked open a little bit. And it's like that time of year where spring is turning into summer, and you can like smell, you know, that summer's coming. It's my favorite season. And the breeze is kind of coming in, and I just want to be outside. But instead, what I'm doing is I'm explaining what systemic racism is. Okay. For what feels like the 300th time. And I'm explaining it to tiny little white faces in little small boxes on a computer screen. And I'm saying a lot of things, but my body's doing something very different. So my jaw is super tense. In fact, my whole body's like on guard. You know, like you're just like anticipating, like you're just waiting. And that tenseness in my jaw is like, it's becoming a phenomenon. It's been happening a lot on these sessions. And my chest is so tight. It's like locked. And do y'all know that like there are actual times where I feel like there's an invisible hand that's on my neck. And it's like pushing down on my throat. And sometimes I feel this, it's like, you know when like you're gonna vomit and there's like bile? Just, you know, we know that experience. And it's coming up and I keep swallowing it. I just keep swallowing it down. And what I'm saying is, thank you for sharing. Val, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. And then sometimes when I feel like triggered, like someone says something and I'm just like, it's like just fight mode. I go all out. And I'm like, I want to invite you to consider. I'd like to invite you to consider. I really want to invite you to consider. And then when the Zoom is coming to a close, this is my smile, no joke. It's like just constipation all around. And I'm there like, and as we're fading out, I'm going, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye, you guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then I hit that leave the meeting. And when I hit that leave meeting, I like slink off the couch. I'm just like, ah. But really, I'm just like, ah. And I go downstairs, and I go to the kitchen, and my husband's making dinner. He's a very good cook. He's making dinner, and he goes, hey, babe, how'd it go? How'd the program go? And I go, it was good. Dead in the eyes. I'm like, it was good. It was good. And really, what I honestly really want to say is I hate my business. I feel trapped and constrained, and I don't know how to get out. I really don't know how to get out. But I don't say that. And it's not that I don't say that because he wouldn't understand, because he would. It's because I don't want to hear myself say that out loud. I can't even bear to hear myself say that. I don't know what to do with any of that. So instead I'm like, are we gonna watch Love is Blind 1, Love is Blind 2, or Love is Blind 3? Like, numb it. I just want to just numb it. I don't want to see it. It's not here. Go away, right? So I'm Jahan Mantin. I'm the co-founder of a company called Project Inkblot, along with my brilliant co-founder, Boywen Gao, and our work is steeped in racial equity and design, and we need a break. We really need a break. I need a break. I do. And working in this industry, what I've seen is that this work is carried out by mostly women of color, mostly Black women, and we are not supported, we are not taken care of, and we are not nourished. And we really need to be taken care of. And it leads, at least for me, it led to a lot of repression and like depression. And it reached a peak. So, okay, it's 2020, and our work, which has been kind of like this, it started to kind of like, kind of slow, kind of incline. It just shot up when George Floyd was murdered. And then all of a sudden, we're getting all these inquiries from past clients, from new clients. And we're like, all right, time to level up. Like, get that lawyer on retainer. You know what I mean? Like, contracts are coming in. We're leading programs after programs after programs. We lead design education programs. And so we're working with mostly white teams, mostly media, mostly tech, mostly design around inclusive products, services, content. And we're leading these programs. And we're building a team. And we're creating new offerings. And it's fast. It's like, it's going. And we're tired. We're tired. But we come from immigrant families. Boy Wen's roots are in China. My mom's in the Caribbean. And we're like, working hard is not, it's not, unknown to us. We're like, all right, work harder, work longer. That's what we're doing. But we believe in self-care. Self-care is all the rage. Get that manicure, get that pedicure. That's self-care. Not like boundaries. Not like knowing your needs, not like trusting your intuition. It's just like, put on a face mask. So we take 1 week off. 1 week off for the year. And that's our self-care. And by day 3, my eyes stop twitching, a break. And my shoulders have kind of relaxed just like a little bit, but not really. And then Monday is back to work. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. So this goes on for some time. I really wish I could be like, wow, awakening, and then no, we just kept on working. So we worked again, and we worked longer, and we worked harder. And then one day we're like, you know what? We actually really need to rest. So we gave ourselves a month off, which is actually really radical. Unless you're European or something. But for us it was like so radical, it really was. And we're like, wow, we're taking the whole month off. So we were like, all right, we're gonna take the month of December off. And I was so amped about it. And like November 1st came around and we're like, all right, we're almost there, we're almost there. And I started fantasizing about resting. And in my fantasy, it's woman of leisure. That's my fantasy. I'm in a robe, it's silky, I'm on the couch, I have a glass of rosé, I'm reading, it's just like very luxurious. I'm cooking, it's like that kind of thing. Y'all know it didn't happen like that. So then rest begins and it's a mess. It's a hot mess. Everything that was in started to come up. And so one day I'm like sitting on the couch and I don't even know how to describe this. I'd never felt this before, but I felt this like tingling in my arms. And it was like rivers. It was like just tingling and tingling in my thighs. And then my chest started to feel like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I started just feeling really overwhelmed. And I'm like, I didn't even know what was happening to me. And the other thing that I noticed was I was just crying all the time. And I just wake up and I would be crying. And I go to bed and I'd be crying. And it was so overwhelming because I couldn't even name it. And so one day I go to my husband and I go, I think there's something wrong with me. I don't feel well. I'm not well. And he said, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to feel what is being felt. And he said to me, it's okay to be sad. And I don't like to be sad. And I don't like to look like I'm sad. And so break ends, go back to work. And I'm like, this isn't gonna work. This is not gonna work. And now I gotta tell Boy Wen, my business partner. And how do you have that conversation? You know how scary that was? What am I supposed to say? We've been working together for over 10 years. And now I'm supposed to say, hey, sorry, no more business. Like, what about our partnership? What about our friendship? But I just want to be clear, this is not like I had some integrity moment and I was like full of nobility. And I was like, I'm going to tell the truth. It was unbearable. It felt so unbearable. I was like, I can't even continue like this. I don't have a choice. So I called her and I'm like, girl, we got to talk. I don't know what's going on. I'm 43. Maybe it's a midlife crisis. I don't know what is happening, but I cannot do this anymore. I can't. And you know what she says? She's like, girl, I don't want to do this either. We never even wanted to work in D.E.I. And so we're like, okay, there's like a new pathway appears. So here's what I learned. D.E.I, right, stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. In my experience, it was depletion, exhaustion, and isolation. Okay? Okay, here's depletion. Depletion is early on in our work, we're working together, and we're at an ad agency, downtown New York, financial district, you know, floor to ceiling, like glass kind of windows, about 30 people in the room, kind of round conference table, and we're sitting around. And anyone who's facilitated before, you do like group agreements. And so we're doing group agreements. So I have a poster board and we're having people write on the sheet, like what group agreements you want to like, you know, kind of put into the room. And I see this older sort of middle-aged white guy get up and he writes something on the board. And I go over and I look and see, and you know what it says, yo? Don't make me feel uncomfortable. That sigh you just gave, that was my... And I'm like, don't make you feel uncomfortable. Don't make you feel... Do you know how uncomfortable we feel? You know how uncomfortable it is to be facilitating this? I'm like, why did we choose this work again? And like, what I want to do is take the conference table and just turn the whole thing over, right? And just like shred up the whole thing. And, you know, instead what I say is, I invite you to consider. I invite you to consider that, you know, I don't know where your comfort lives. I don't know where it starts. I don't know where it begins. I can't promise you that. You know, maybe this is an opportunity to try this on and get comfortable with me, whatever. It's like all of that, right? I say those things. Exhaustion. Exhaustion looks like, hey, I know we've worked together before, and thank you so much for leading that program, but actually we're going internal now. We're going internal now, so we don't really need your services anymore, but thank you so much, bye. Isolation is when my girlfriends call me. They're like, girl, you guys are blowing up. Wow, so you spoke at a conference or, you know, heard you on a podcast, like you're blowing up. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. What's going on with you? Yeah, so what's happening with you? Tell me about you. I can't even talk about it. I'm so drained. I can't even talk with my friends really about it. So I wanna imagine something else. And now we're moving into a new space and we don't really know what's next. So now everyone's like, what are you doing next? What are you doing next? What are you doing next? And we don't know what it's gonna be yet, but I know the flavor of it. I know the essence of it. I know we're gonna make it. Okay, let me tell you what that is. Okay, so it's like nourishment. I love to cook. I really love to cook. I think it's the sensuality of it. I love the tactileness of it. I love it. And when people are coming over, and let's say I'm making some, like, you know, rice and peas, a very popular dish in our home It's like my comfort food, and there's like fresh thyme, and I'm chopping up garlic, and there's like onions, and there's red pepper, and the beans are stewing, and there's coconut milk, and folks are over, and there's like a moment where I can just be. I'm just present. I'm like, wow, I got to nourish people. And you know, that feels so good. And it's so fulfilling. So I know it has that. And I know that it has connection. One of my oldest friends went through something really hard, and I went over to her house and I was with her. And we've been friends since we were teenagers. And she just cried. And you know, she cried like a little girl. And I cried too, and we just held each other. And it was like, in that moment, there was nothing to like pretend. You know, we just like, just for like a moment, we didn't have like a mask on. And it was so relieving. It was such a relief. So it has connection. And it also has transformation. And I recently was re-listening to D'Angelo's Voodoo, which is one of my top 3 albums of all time. If you don't agree, we can't be friends. And it, you know, I was like, kind of like, you know, when like you're revisiting something, you know, from the past, like you're kind of like rehearing it again. And I was like, dang, this album is so incredible. And I remember when I first heard it, and it was like sensual, and it was raw, and it was beautiful, and it was honest. And like I went in one way, and I left another way. And I wanted everybody to hear it. So it has that. So I invite you to consider that when I had that anxiety attack, I didn't even know what it was, and I was too ashamed to share it with people because it didn't match up with what I thought the expectation should be. And I want you to consider that when I did share it with my friends, in particular, my Black woman friends, they said, me too. And I felt so not alone. And I felt so affirmed. And it felt so like an honor to be able to affirm one another. And that's what I've been thinking about, you know? It's like, maybe that's the medicine, is to affirm and to be affirmed, and like, just for a moment to witness, let me just go back to all our BS, but just for like a moment to have that, I think that's medicine. And I invite you all to reflect on, maybe there's something that you need to share. And in the sharing of that, it would provide you with some relief. Thank you for letting me share.